All right. So, what I forgot to mention in my review for American Psycho is that starting from American Psycho all the way to my review for Sinister, these are the ones that I'm put that are in my 31 and 31. I'm just trying to go through them and get the reviews done so I can kind of rank them with the rest. So, in mine, we now have a movie I've wanted to watch for a long time. Finally decided to get and got specifically to do for this month. Behind the Mask. Oh, God, he's back. He's the man behind the mask. The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which is a sort of found footage meta slasher film directed by Scott Glosserman and starring Nathan Basil as the titular Leslie Vernon, with cameos from some of horror's legends like Robert Englund playing the Dr. Loomis type character of Doc Halloran. Kane Hunter has a cameo, and Zelda Rubinstein from Poltergeist has a cameo as well as a librarian. And a very confusing death scene as well. So this film follows a documentary crew led by Taylor and her two cameramen, Doug and Todd. Todd's like me, he's a fat ass like me. And we find that out later. But they're following Leslie Vernon, who wants to be a slasher killer. Now, in this world, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, they all exist. They even go to filming locations. They show Freddy's house. They show Michael Myers' neighborhood. They show what's supposed to be Crystal Lake, and they say that they all exist. And they even kind of make Freddy Krueger realistic by saying that his killing spree was so terrifying it haunted their dreams. So, yeah. But that's kind of thrown away when Leslie Vernon later mentions Chucky as among one of the killers that exists. And that's where I kind of scratch my head and say, no, you can't make Freddy Krueger realistic and then say by saying, oh, he's just some serial killer that causes nightmares because he's so terrifying. And then Chucky's real, but he's a voodoo doll. If you said Charles Lee Ray, that'd be one thing. Chucky, I know Chucky was Charles Lee Ray's nickname, but when you say Chucky, that invokes that tells me killer doll. I'm just saying. And basically, they're following, for the first part of this, for most of the runtime, there are times where it cuts out of the found footage thing, but we follow this camera crew as they are interviewing Leslie Vernon, and he shares his quote-unquote backstory of how when he was a child, 12 years earlier, he was thrown on a waterfall and survived, and the urban legend that he comes back to kill people. Okay. And that's an interesting backstory, but it's all thrown away when Doc Howler shows up at the diner and tells the camera crew that Leslie Vernon is lying to them. His real name is Leslie Mancuso, and that he's nuts, and he's trying to get him back to the psychiatric hospital he escaped from. So he really is kind of a Dr. Loomis character, and I wouldn't mind if he did play Dr. Loomis at some point. I think Robert Englund would be good. Also, Robert Englund is a character played by Robert Englund exists in a world where Freddy Krueger is real. Wouldn't they look the same? Just saying. But, yeah. And this is where I kind of went, no, why would he not have why would Leslie Vernon not be his real name? Unless they were trying to subvert your expectations and reveal that he really was Leslie Vernon, everything he said was true, but he just lied to Doc Halloran because he wanted a cover story. but it doesn't go there at all. So, Leslie Vernon is tracking down his final girl, or survivor girl, as he said, is an industry term, which is not the industry term. It's final girl. But, and it's Kelly, who I know from the actress from Drake and Josh. She was the smart girl in Drake and Josh, and she was also in Fired Up. She was, name. So I can't wait to. I can't remember her name. It's Jessica or something like that. Jennifer. Yeah, that's what it was. Jennifer. Yeah, she was in that. And so I heard her voice. I'm like, is that her? Because she looks different. I always think she looks weird without the glasses on from the Smart Girl episode. It was her. And she's the quote-unquote final girl that Leslie Vernon has declared as his final girl. And then we get something that I'm not too sure about. Now, before I go through this, I want to say that the absolute best thing in this film is Nathan Basil as Leslie Vernon. He is fantastic as the character. He's got there's some comedy in there, and you can tell he really wants to be a slasher killer. However, it's when when they start poking at the tropes, there are certain things like, he says certain things I do like, where he says like, oh, you got to do cardio because you got to be able to, when they're running full speed, you got to make it look like you're walking slowly, so that, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees type thing, where they're walking slowly, contributes to that, and he's, calling out tropes of the genre. But then when he gets to where he's, planning on doing his murder spree, he starts to show that he's gimmicked out these weapons, like he has a sledgehammer where the handles, where the top's gonna fall off, and he's cut this axe where it's gonna break in half, and he's gimmicked everything so that he will win. He's rigged it so he will win, and that's not how it works. Like, I know there's sometimes where things don't go according to plan for the final girl or whatever, but it's never, I've seen enough slashers to know, it never goes exactly the way that the slasher killer wants it to go. Because I doubt that Freddy Krueger wanted to be buried alive and then pissed on by a dog's fire piss to be brought back to life. I know that Jason Voorhees didn't want to be drowned back in Crystal Lake again for like 3 times. I know he didn't want to get chopped in the head by Tommy Jarvis going, die! Die! I mean, come on. You're supposed to think that everything a slasher killer does is rigged, and that's just not how it works. That's where I kind of just went, no, that's being so cocky that you're willing, that you want everything to go perfectly, so you're going to rig it so you win. That's not how it works. He says he wants to be a slasher killer, he wants to be like the others, so in a sense, he has to lose. For him to become the slasher killer he wants, he has to lose. Him gimmicking this stuff just doesn't work. Although, those aren't what causes his eventual death, but we'll get to that. So, we get to a certain point in the film. Taylor has enough. And she finally, when they witness, we don't see it, but she witnesses them. Like, he goes through this entire plan of how it's going to go down. And he kills the couple that starts off the spree. And this is when Taylor has enough. And Leslie says, you know what? Go ahead. Leave. Get out of here. You're not going to be supportive. Go away. I don't need you. But they decide to try to stop Leslie Vernon. And from this point on, it's completely a regular shot film. The found footage aspect, the handheld camera stuff, gone. There's a few times during the film where it goes away. But here's the thing. And it causes some confusion. I watched a few reviews, and there is some confusion with this kill. Zelda Rubinstein, who plays the library, she's killed by Leslie Vernon, sort of. Like, he shows up behind her, he's like this, and then the camera cuts, and then he just... And then, like, he's back up, and she falls down like she's dead. Like, what happened? And, like, is she dead? Did it really happen? Because then Taylor acts like it's the most exciting thing to ever happen. But then she freaks out when this kill happens. So, did the librarian really die? Was she in on it? Because she tells the backstory to Kelly, so is she in on it? I don't know. She never comes back again. Zelda Rubinstein, may you rest in peace. But I don't know. But now she has the morals to try to stop her. And then we find out, stop him, whatever. We find out that Kelly is not the sweet, innocent virgin that we're led to believe because she's riding some dude in the bedroom. So then Taylor's like, okay, I'm trying to save you guys, but it starts going exactly the way that Leslie said, except for, Kelly wasn't part of that, what he said, so she's got to fall out a window to her death. I would have done something like, I don't know. But it's here that when they're hiding in a barn, Taylor realizes she's the final girl. Because they're like, you're the virgin. And then I see some other reviews saying that she's not really a virgin, but they're just saying that she is a virgin, in the sense. I'm like, no. She doesn't confirm, but she doesn't deny it. The look on her face means she's come to the realization that she is the virgin that's supposed to be the final girl, the survivor girl. She's a virgin. I'm just saying. Fat cameraman, Todd, he, distracts him so they can get away. Even to tell him, it's Todd, but, he's in killer mode. He kills him. And we get to the final girls circuit. Halloran shows up and he gets stabbed, but then shows up in the barn and he gets knocked out accidentally by Doug, the other cameraman. And Leslie Vernon shows up, shoves him into the side and knocks him out. And then you do the final girls circuit where, she discovers the dead body in the barn. She grabs the axe, she knows it's gimmicked. And then she takes him to the apple grinder thing that he showed her earlier. And that's another thing. So she puts him in it, she grounds it down, and he takes the mask off, and he goes, "It was you were perfect, you were chosen," or something like that. And again, and she sets the thing on fire. And then after this, we get like a roundup scene. Doug's alive, Halloran's alive, which I feel like there wasn't enough Robert Englund in this film. I feel like you should have done more. If this was a regular slasher film, he would be the Loomis character. Going around saying, no, you have to stop him and stuff like that. But we don't get enough of him, and I wish we would, because Robert Englund is fantastic. He's a fantastic actor. I love Robert Englund. He's Freddy Krueger, But, and they walk away, but then we get in the credits, we get another cameo from Kane Hodder with some stupid-ass wig. And then we find out that Leslie Vernon is alive. He sits up, he's burnt to an ash. And so this has also led, that I've heard in other reviews, that he gimmicked out the apple squisher. But he never says that he did. And I know that is because he didn't want her to know. But the way it looks, no, he's squished, man. Also, fire. If they were going to suggest that he gimmicked it out, then it should have been reported that there was no body found in the fire. That's what it should have been. But I digress. This movie is actually pretty good, and for years they've wanted a sequel. It's a hidden classic. It's a hidden gem of a horror film. I do recommend it. Even Dead Meat. I watched the kill count recently for the Behind the Mask, the Rise of Leslie Vernon. He got Nathan Basil to show up in a To the Numbers bit, which was fantastic. Of course, he looks older now because this came out in 2006, which is the year I graduated high school, by the way. But yeah, I recommend this. I give this an 8 out of 10. There were some flaws I found with it, but it's 8 out of 10 for me. I thought this was pretty good, and I'm glad I bought it. So, yeah, that's another one off the list that I'll scratch off when I get there. So what are your thoughts on Behind the Mask, the Rise of Leslie Vernon? Leave a comment below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.